Hey everyone, it's me, and I'm here interviewing David. I think he's an interesting mix, and he's both from a multicultural and multi-religious background. And I'm gonna interview him and see his perspective on things. Hi, David. David,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so let the viewers know your first and last name and where you from. What makes you multi-religious and multicultural?
All right. Repeat the last part real quick because you came in a little fuzzy.
Okay. What makes you multicultural from a multicultural background and a multi-religious background?
Okay. My name is David Jahangiri. I forgot the other question. All right.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. All
It's
right.
okay.
Say that all again.
Okay, well, we've
All
got
right.
the name covered. All right. What two cultures are you from, and what two religions, are practiced in your family?
Okay. My two cultures are Iranian, otherwise known as Persians, and African American. And the two religions that was practiced within my household was Islam, um, and another religion was being a Baptist,
Okay. And by Baptist, you mean
Christianity.
Christianity, right?
Yeah, Christianity. That's the
Okay.
one.
It's okay. All right. So, can you let us know some similarities and differences between the two cultures and the two religions?
All right. I guess starting off with the cultures. I'd have to say that both cultures are loving, but judgmental at the same time. It's one thing I've noticed a lot. African American people can be judgmental, and then Iranians can be sometimes crucial at times. Um, Besides that, there's not a whole lot of similarities really, because sports and all those other things of that nature is all out the window, and uh, let's say culture like music, things like that, that's all different. And so I guess the differences. I think the differences that really stick out, one is how everybody looks out for each other. And African Americans, that I've noticed that people kind of distance themselves and don't really like to help. And on the Iranian culture, they're very nurturing and like to take people in, and they're going to tell you what they want you to do for them to do it, but they have no problem taking you in as long as you're trying to do something.
Okay.
And so that's from my personal experience. Um, any other differences? I can't say a whole lot of other ones that really are relevant because I guess I haven't met a whole lot of my Iranian family. My father Americanized himself, and and as of the years where I was really able to realize how he conducts himself, I was kind of older, and he just kind of, what I'm saying. I seem like I have more pride in my heritage than he does at this
Wow.
point, because he
Okay.
doesn't even practice Islam anymore.
Wow. And people I know they research differences on Christianity and Islam, but if you could maybe give a quick difference and a quick similarity.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll go with similarities because that would probably be a little bit quicker
Yeah.
first. Similarities, well, of the religions themselves, obviously, the Old Testament is practically embedded into the Quran, and of course, it's obviously the Bible. And then I guess the differences really split once you get to the New Testament. But besides that, the same things that you should follow, how you should conduct yourself as a person, and things of that nature. And besides that, that's really all that's the same. Speaking of the two religions, I guess differences, not just in the religions, but I also want to say within the people who practice them. The differences in religion, of course, be the placing of Jesus, which in Christianity, they believe that he is the Son of God, and and Christ is practically like God in a sense. And then, of course, on the Islamic side, we view that he's a prophet. He was an extremely important man. He's referenced many a times in the Quran, and he's put up with the utmost highest proportion, right behind the Prophet Muhammad. That's what I was saying. And I guess the only difference is that we don't believe that he's God's son and things of that nature, that how he wasn't crucified on the cross, and how that was a misconception and it was somebody else.
Thank you.
And,
You'll continue.
and
Continue.
So back to the differences, how the faith is conducted, how the faith is practiced. It's some people find Islam to be extreme because it's very strict and there's rules and there's specific things you're supposed to go about. And Christianity is kind of a free-based way as some people view it. I'm not trying to be judgmental or nothing because of course religion is religion and I respect that. So, but the way you practice it's a little just more like, you can kind of, almost seems like you can almost do what you want. But in fact, when it's really not, because it's funny how a lot of people say things, how like, why I do this or why I do that when I practice Islam, but those same things are in the Bible. But,
yeah.
And I guess the people carry themselves. You can tell, typically 9 times out of 10, you can tell somebody practices Islam just by their everyday apparel or how they carry themselves or how, just how they speak and how the movements are. And people who practice Christianity, sometimes you have no idea what that person may be. They practice Christianity, they could be part of Judaism, they could be an atheist for all I know. And then, I guess the one thing that really I think I see a lot is, when it comes to differences, is how much people know about the faith.
Yeah.
Most of the times when I encounter another person who practices Islam, even if that brother is a new Shahada, that sister is a new Shahada, they typically know a lot of basic things, and they're always studying and trying to learn. Because in Islam, it's taught that you should memorize the Quran, and it's recited in a way where it's easy to memorize it. Of course, over a course of years, that'll happen. But if you take a man from the east, west, north, and south, and those men who memorize the Quran, they'll all say the same thing. I've came across a lot of people who practice Christianity, and I know more than they do. And I'm not just even talking about specific things. I'm just talking about little basic things. A lot of people don't realize that none of us are supposed to eat pork. A lot of people don't realize that it also says that nobody's supposed to have sex before marriage. So the people they forget about these little things, and maybe they just don't care to learn it.
And if I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you could once again repeat and let our viewers know the meaning of, I believe you said Shahada, like a new person who comes into Islam?
Shahada is basically somebody who just recently converted upon Islam, and when you say the person's a new Shahada, they're still learning, they're still in the process of beginning to understand Islam. So when it comes to certain things in this person's new Shahada, you won't be as critical upon them for the mistakes that they make, because obviously if they are unaware of how Islam is practiced and everything that's in the Quran, then you cannot, place blame on them for certain things that they do. So the person's new Shahada, they just converted, they're coming into it.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, another question is, like, you were born in America, and how do you feel that coming from you practice Islam, right?
Yes.
So coming from those two cultures, and also having, like, your mother's side being Christian and you practicing Islam, how do you feel that's, like, affected your life in America? And have you ever felt like somebody didn't really try to get to know you, they just looked at you and assumed many things and expected some certain things from you because, like, they just assumed things, so they associated you with certain characteristics?
Yes, I've experienced that in multiple levels. I've experienced that from minor to major. So, for instance, one of the common things that I come through a lot is me being African American and Iranian, and then me being practicing Islam. A lot of young brothers nowadays are practicing and converting to Islam, whether it be for good or for a bad reasons or for reasons that they don't even know. I've been associated a lot with quote unquote thugs, because there's a lot of people who put themselves in bad situations that are coming to jail, and they anticipate me to be this savage individual. And a lot of people view Islam as a militant religion. And so once you take a person who's come from a lot of damaging things that have put them in situations where they've done some bad things, and you give them this religion, they expect that person to be horrible. and to be mean to them. So I get that stereotype a lot. And then being a 235-pound man with a beard doesn't help me, I guess, appearance-wise. But, and then, so that's just one of the things I come through a lot. And then my last name, Jahangiri. Well, my whole name is Dawood David Shaheen Jahangiri, is a predominantly Islamic name. That gives a lot of stereotypes as well, because most people just expect this person to come in with a turban and an AK on the side of my back sometimes.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it.
I've experienced people making fun of me in school. People talk about I'm gonna blow up the school. People saying I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. None of these things that I've actually said, but just the simple fact of my faith, my name, and my heritage. They just anticipate these things and make these jokes, And
has it ever actually hurt you as a person?
No, nobody's physically hurt me, I guess, because.
No, I mean emotionally, for somebody to just assume those things or make those jokes.
It has when I was younger, but I didn't even quite understand it as much as I do now. And I mean when I was much younger. Because up until I was the age of 16 is when I decided the religion that I actually wanted to follow. Mm-hmm. So I was naive and unaware of certain things at that time. And I get a lot of stereotypes from law enforcement as well. One, me being African American is bad enough in this society nowadays, and then when they see my name or if I have a kufi on, and it just adds an extra hint of stereotyping in my life. So it's like, oh man,
wow.
This guy Middle Eastern and he's black.
2 for 2.
I hit all the descriptions. So, and then at the airport, they have this new machine that scans your entire body, and they only do that to certain people. My last name is an automatic reason for them to do that. I wasn't aware that I could refuse that. They didn't even tell me anything. They just asked me to step in it. I thought everybody goes through it. That thing scans and takes an image of your entire body. And
wow.
then they did all this extra searching on me. And even when I traveled with my father, one time they took my father to the back and they strip searched him before. And you know what I'm saying? And just because of his name and his heritage, and it's just something that I unfortunately have to deal with due to things like 9/11 and the terrorists and all that other crap, and how Al Qaeda is always praying against us and out on our butts and all that other stuff. But just the media and how they deliver everything just makes it worse for other people. So, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, to answer that question, simply I've experienced those types of things.
I never knew that about you, and I apologize on behalf of the whole America, the whole of America. Wow. Well,
I don't take it bad though. Every time
could you repeat that again?
I don't take these things in as negative as other people may think. It doesn't build hatred inside of me. It doesn't make me think that I feel this person is my enemy. Every time I encounter an individual who doesn't quite understand our faith, I try to make the connections for them and teach them something. Because most of these people are unaware of what I practice. Most people don't even think that people who practice Islam believe in God. They say, oh, you believe in Allah. But what they don't realize that Allah, sometimes pronounced number one, is just the word for God in Arabic. And that I believe almost in everything that a person calls in a Christian. Just the practice is different. And there are certain things that are different, of course. But majority of that is all the same. And that travels from Judaism to Christianity to Islam. And it's sad how most people don't even realize that. So I take every opportunity I get to educate people.
Well, David, I have to actually pause this video. Everybody, there will be a continuation of the interview, but YouTube has a certain limit, so give me a second.